वदनं मधुरं नयनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हृदयं मधुरं गमनं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् वचनं मधुरं चरितं मधुरं वसनं मधुरं वलितं मधुरं चलितं मधुरं भ्रमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् वेणुर्मधुरो रेणुर्मधुरः पाणिर्मधुरः पादौ मधुरौ नृत्यं मधुरं सख्यं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् गीतं मधुरं पीतं मधुरं मुक्तं मधुरं सुप्तं मधुरं रूपं मधुरं तिलकं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् करणं मधुरं चरणं मधुरं हरणं मधुरं स्मरणं मधुरं वमितं मधुरं शमितं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् गुञ्जा मधुरा माला मधुरा यमुना मधुरा वीथी मधुरा सलिलं मधुरं कमलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् गोपी मधुरा लीला मधुरा युक्तं मधुरं भुक्तं मधुरं दृष्टं मधुरं शिष्टं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् गोपा मधुरा गावो मधुरा यष्टिर्मधुरा सृष्टिर्मधुरा दलितं मधुरं फलितं मधुरं दलितं मधुरं फलितं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम् देवी सुरेश्वरि भगवति गंगे त्रिभुवनतारिणि तरलतरंगे शंकरमौलि विहारिणि विमले मम मतिरास्तां तव पदकमले भागीरथि सुखदायिनि माता तव जलमहिमा निगमे ख्याता नाहं जाने तव महिमानं पाहि कृपामयि मामज्ञानम् हरिपदपाद्यतरङ्गिणि गङ्गे हिमविधुमुक्ताधवलतरङ्गे दूरीकुरु मम दुष्कृतिभारं कुरु कृपया भवसागरपारम् तव जलममलं येन निपीतं परमपदं खलु तेन गृहीतं मातर्गङ्गे त्वय्यो भक्त किल तं द्रष्टुं नयमशक्त पतितोद्धारिणि जाह्नवि गङ्गे खण्डितगिरिवरमण्डितभङ्गे भीष्मजननि हे मुनिवरकन्ये पतितनिवारिणि त्रिभुवनधन्ये कल्पलतामिव फलदां लोके प्रणमति यस्त्वां न पतति शोके पारावारविहारिणि गङ्गे विमुखयुवति कृततरलापाङ्गे तव चेन्मात स्रोतस्नात पुनरपि जठरे सोऽपि न जात नरकनिवारिणि जाह्नवि गङ्गे कलुषविनाशिनि महिमोत्तुङ्गे पुनरसदङ्गे पुण्यतरङ्गे जय जय जाह्नवि करुणापाङ्गे इन्द्रमुकुटमणिराजितचरणे सुखदे शुभदे भृत्यशरण्ये रोगं शोकं तापं पापं हर मे भगवति कुमति कलापं त्रिभुवनसारे वसुधाहारे त्वमसि गतिर्मम खलु संसारे अलकानन्दे परमानन्दे कुरु करुणामयि कातरवन्द्ये तव तटनिकटे यस्य निवास खलु वैकुण्ठे तस्य निवास वरमिह नीरे कमठो मीन किं वा तीरे शरटक्षीण अथवा श्वपचो मलिनो दीन तव न हि दूरे नृपतिकुलीन भो भुवनेश्वरि पुण्ये धन्ये देवी द्रवमयि मुनिवरकन्ये गङ्गास्तवमिममलं नित्यं पठति नरो य स जयति सत्यम् येषां हृदये गङ्गा भक्तिः तेषां भवति सदा सुखमुक्तिः मधुराकाम्.
Just a little bit. Place it on pause. And we allow ourselves to become aware of our own awareness. Or as the great philosopher Husserl said, what is the wonder of all wonders? Pure awareness. And the doorway is our own subjectivity, our own self. And so we'll establish ourselves in this meditative awareness, this awareness of awareness. Suspending our mind for a tiny bit. Then we can take another step if we'd like to embody it. This embodying of awareness. Fleshing it. So we'll extend through our bodies this awareness. This field, this energy, this light, this space, this knowingness. And then having established ourselves in our body, we'll then embrace this situation. This moment, this place. We're always in situations. So we'll extend to each other, to us. And this is the situation. But we extend inside to inside, directly. Extending what? Extending this awareness. And as we do this, we begin to discover, this awareness is not simply a state, but it's a field. It goes beyond the body boundaries. Ultimately, its horizon is infinite and it's multidimensional. Extend. Then, having established our awareness in the situation, which is really good, cool, useful, illuminative, we'll then extend our awareness to our ancestors, the mothers and the fathers, and the mothers and the fathers, the generational field of whom we're expressions. So we'll extend the light to the light. Beyond the boundaries of the grave. Very thin veil when you're in awareness. And then we'll extend to all the great yogis and teachers we've met, those people who embody this awareness field so completely that the invisible becomes visible, felt, touched, resonance, non-duality, within duality. Or as the Dakini said to Dujam Lingpa, you and I are indivisible. And then we'll extend to that dimension of our own awareness, which is very mysterious, not easily understood. The archetypal, the archetypes, the vortexes, the energies, primordial energies, the deities, devas, dakinis, will extend to the dakini this morning. As the Dromanagma, the Dark Mother, from which everything and anything arises, ceaselessly manifesting everything and anything, including us. Embracing this dimension of our own awareness. Then we'll remain in awareness, in meditative awareness, as I give this little talk. Many years ago, I had the good fortune of interviewing Swami Muktananda for Voices magazine. It's a magazine of the Academy of Psychotherapy, with a good friend. And I asked Baba, being a psychologist, tell me, Baba, is meditation therapy? He said, yes. Meditation is the most direct therapy. It is the therapy of the self, and it allows you to experience your authentic self, the authentic self, unbound, pervasive, as you. Meditation opens up for us the direct experience of the different experiential metaphors of our own self. And slowly but surely, as we meditate, As we become aware of our awareness, the door opens, step by step, where we experience the very nature of ourself, the authentic self, which is awareness itself, as us. Not simply the awareness, but our awareness as awareness, consciousness. Some say the self doesn't exist. Whenever I hear this, I wonder who's doing the talking now? And even more, who's doing the listening? Who's the experiencer here? Delusion meeting delusion? That's not much fun. So it invalidates the unfolding, the natural unfolding of what is given to us. More often than not, at least yours truly, perhaps you also, experience yourself as your mind alone, at least one day. And you experience yourself as your mind. And even more often than not, you experience yourself only as a part of your mind. Jung elaborated this very clearly, how we identify with only one part. Some of us identify so completely with our mind, as thinker, thought, thinking. And it's so interesting as we identify ourselves with thought alone, and the world itself becomes thought, and even becomes less real. So it becomes as if, like movies. And yet in thought alone cannot hold all the drama, the real experience that's manifesting within us and around us. We get captured in thought, captured in redundant thought, trying to save our butts. It doesn't quite work. More stuckness. Some of us experience our mind, especially if you're a Gestalt, is our feelings. We experience ourself as our feelings. It's a little hard because our mind changes from moment to moment. Sort of like a floating self. Here today, go to the next moment. Getting lost in the sea of affect. Lope. Some of us experience ourselves on the part of our mind that is sensation. Sensation alone. That's the self. That's my base. That's my support. More, please. Absorbed. Sea of addictionness. Some of us experience ourselves as our imagination. Yes, I am the dream. Dreaming. Whatever is going on, I'm in this dream, waiting for it to come true. Some of us experience our mind as the self, as memory, as all the historical experiences that we've internalized. The whole shebang. And we kind of drift in the past forever and ever and never. Even at the moment of death, we die in the past. Bound. So as you and I meditate, and initially in our mind, it really becomes boring, repetitious. So we quit. But if you stay more than 10 minutes, if you stay, it begins to open for you. And then you begin to actually experience, sometimes for the first time, at least for yours truly, that you become aware of your mind. You might even remember that. And suddenly you experience so directly, I'm not my mind. I'm not the thought. I'm not this affect. I'm not simply this sensation. I'm not just the eternal memory of what was. That's something else. And then we start to witness our mind. It's really great to witness our mind, but it should be a temporary experience. Mindfulness, as witnessing the mind, is really useful. It's like the first movement into liberation. Some of us stay there, though, forever. Witnessing, witnessing, witnessing. That gets boring, too. So then, what do? We begin to make that shift. Rather than being aware of our mind, we make what the phenomenologists call the second reduction. We make this turn. And we suspend our mind and begin to become aware of this awareness. Maybe you've done that. Maybe you're there now. Or maybe you're still in your mind. So we make this turn. And we become aware of awareness. Not always easy. Because sometimes the first glance of awareness is nothingness, emptiness, void, abyss. Shit. Falling. Overwhelmed. Let me out of here. But if you have the courage to stay and remain in this awareness, which has many different manifestations, different faces, as you stay in this awareness, this awareness becomes spaciousness. As Winnicott, we call it transitional space, open space. And you find yourself resting in this spacious place, having space. At times thought-free, feeling-free, and yet this space can integrate thoughts and feelings and sensations and memory that is not so all dissociated, fragmented. You actually start to feel whole with your mind. And actually, this space, this light, this energy begins to infuse our mind. And we begin to feel the first sense of union between our mind and awareness, between our mind and self. The basic dissociativeness is being healed. The basic gap. Now, this is a good place. So now you're in this awareness, this space. You have some freedom, actually. You actually have more freedom to transform your mind, to move it this way, that way. It's open. But this is just the true beginning. It's now just beginning, really. So you start to remain in this awareness, cumulatively. I mean, if you don't show up for it, it's not going to happen. You can think about it a lot, but so what? You can read about it. You can sing about it. But so what? So if you remain in this awareness, it begins to open up, really and truly. It begins to open up to where you begin to experience that you are this awareness, ahama, and that it is a field. It's vast. It's infinite. The horizon can keep moving. Sometimes it's just in your body, or sometimes it's a way of experiencing, seeing through the immediacy in a tiny room. You feel the field in the room, and you feel the phenomena of the room through the field. Which is so amazing and interesting is as you and I shift through these metaphors of self, mind alone, thinking, the world changes from thought or sensation or pictorial memories. The world itself, how she appears to us, opens to us, corresponding to how we are perceiving it. And an awareness through the field begins to open up as the field itself. The field looking at the field. We begin to experience the non-duality of awareness. And that this awareness is not just a solipsistic little moment between moi, me and me and, but it's actually in the world as the world. Wow. That's something else. And begin to experience as this field opens. The yogis call it the kayas, Nirmanakaya, flesh, Sambhogakaya, the archetypical dimension, Dharmakaya, pure potential, nothing, no thingness that manifests everything and anything. And we're just ordinary people, just us. But we actually do remain in awareness. And so the world begins to open up. And we begin to experience that this awareness is a way of being in this world, being in this cosmos. And we begin to experience the self, both personally and non-dualistically simultaneously. We begin to experience the light and the energy and the presence through us and around us, beyond us. And we experience the bliss of incarnating. Then if you'd like, you can go further. Actually, the entire unfolding of self is an undeterminate, indeterminate, infinite, forever and ever process. No ending, no bounds. It's not static like some think. Well, I'm finally here. Thanks a lot. So it opens, and then the realm of the archetypical becomes more possible to invoke this dimension of awareness for ourselves and others. Is really quite wonderful. And begin to experience our own self. That this dimension is not outside of us. Something we're trying to identify with, huh? Like putting on a costume, little hat, little stick or whatever. But rather, it's our very nature arising in us. And we begin to experience the power of invocation, the power of bringing forth this dimension within ourselves and within others, for ourselves and others. And as Doji Rinpoche, the great Dzogchen master, says, rather than just going around begging for help, which I like to do myself, but rather than begging for help, you begin to take the power of the light in your own hands. And through practice, you begin to have the power of invocating blessing for yourself and others. You can have the power of both beneficence, and you also have the power of the fire of radiance to dissolve negations in your own body, in your own mind, and even in your circumstances. You begin to experience the power of the field in its healingness. Of course, you may not believe this right now. It sounds magical as it's described in the Vajrayana, but maybe you simply haven't practiced it. You haven't tried it. You haven't remained in it, invoking. So let's practice that part right now, because many of us right now are in the field. We're not in our minds. We're in the energy. We're in the light. We can feel it. We can feel it in us. You can feel it in your neighbor. You can feel it around you. You can feel it in the room. It's actually not the room. It's you and what's arising through you and out of you and around you. And so I started with Swami Muktananda. And Muktananda, plain person, loved the archetype of the Guru. Primordial awareness as the revealer. Primordial awareness of self-illumination, self-discovery. The Guru is not a person, he would say over and over again, but it's this great power, this archetypical dimension of consciousness itself that reveals itself to us. So it's really useful to have a relationship to that dimension of yourself. You can use a mantra if you want, like Guru Om. Most of all, you have the desire, or the Logos, as it's described in Greek and Christian philosophy, the Logos. Or you begin to focus on the Guru, Gu, darkness, Ru, light. You begin to focus on bringing this dimension forward in your own self. But then in time, just as you are, as nuts as you might be, as lazy, stupid, whatever other unhappy metaphors, that's quite beside the point. This is not a function of virtue, as it's said. Whew, glad of that. It's not a function of being a goody. It is great to be good. It has its own rewards. But this is given naturally. It's there. But you invoke. So with that, right now, we'll focus on our own self, as our own awareness, as the Guru. As wisdom gnosis, direct perception. So we're going to feel this in our bodies. We want to be gazing through the eyes, hearing through the ears, smelling, embodying the Guru. This is actually Swami Muktananda's major practice. It's like becoming the archetype. Let's practice it. And sometimes you can even use the image of a guru you may have known. But if you take that too concretely, there'll be not enough flexibility in it. And you bring this into yourself. You invoke it for yourself and others. Let's do that now. Meditating on self-illumination, self-manifestation, invoking it, bringing it forth. If you do think of a mantra like that, Guru Om, do not say it too concretely. It's more like a felt sense of the vibration. Let's do that now. As you invoke the archetypical dimension of your own awareness, certain aspects of mind will come in the way. Certain configurations. Certain representations. You cut through them with the radiance of the light. Or you metabolize it. You dissolve it. Like the metaphor of the blue-throated Shiva Sharon used last week. You dissolve that in the fire of this radiance. You might not just be in a smooth little lake, little swans swimming around. You hold the radiance. You learn to bring forth the intensification of it, the Shakti. The power of awareness is it digests everything. It metabolizes it into space, light, energy. And the power of extension. It can cut through configurations of our mind. It illuminates our mind. It brings our mind down. The simplest is bringing our mind down into our heart. Then the mind-heart conjunction is formed. And you hold it. You tolerate it. You don't run. Let me out here. And as you do this, you feel your connection to the field. And the field itself is the Guru coming through you, this field of awareness. And you feel it with your companions. You feel it with great teachers who you've met. You feel it with the archetypes that you love, whatever one. No tradition owns this. There's no intellectual property, but people like to think so. It's not culture bound. And you feel your body incarnating the self as you. As you. You're embodying the self as who you are. It's quite the opposite of a dissociative experience. It's not transcendental. It's not out there, over there. It's here, in the presence of our life, in this situation. Then at the moment of death, opens widely, you're there in that situation. Namke Norbu, great Dzogchen master, would say, as you're embodying this awareness, this self, as you're embodying awareness, you're actually embodying timeless awareness in time. You and I are timeless awareness manifesting in time as awareness. You used to also say, life has so many problems. There's nothing but problems. And you can either have problems in awareness or not in awareness. So the problems will still manifest, still be there, more or less. Vajrakumara, unborn, undying, undefeatable, indestructible, elemental. And for a few moments we'll listen to Namke Norbo chant the song of the Vajra, the chant of awareness. So we've been cultivating this awareness for the past hour. One of the gifts of awareness is the capacity of extending this awareness to ourselves and to others. And actually it is the great compassion, as Yang Tong Rinpoche, a great Dzogchen master, would describe. The capacity of extending this awareness to another person in the present, and even extending to their past, and even extending to their future. Here we call it absolute compassion. So with that understanding, we'll extend from awareness, from timeless awareness within us, to people we know and love who may be having difficulties, extending the light of knowingness. We'll do that now. And like everything, practice makes perfect. And because of our personal connection, the very personal connection is a vehicle, the channel for the light, the affects we have. Let's extend it to each other in the room again. Let's extend it to people in our city. Let's extend it to people in all the cities in this world. And if you like, then maybe for this week, if you want, you can, with the understanding of awareness as self, you can invoke the Guru as the self, as your own self. With that, we'll rub our hands together and place our hands on our heart, sealing our experience in. It's like a gesture to not end the meditation, or not end being in awareness, but to leave in awareness, and learning to sustain ourselves in awareness of this awareness. Thank you all for being here. Tomorrow we will have Dakini Day, and in Dakini Day it's on the Zoom, and you don't have to get out of bed, and it's 8 o'clock, and it's usually looking at some of the archetypal practices and learning to invoke this archetypal dimension in our own self and for others. Thank you all so much, and we can put the chant back on of Namke Normal. You're welcome to stay and meditate excuse me, to 9 o'clock, and there's refreshments upstairs. Thank you so much.